I'm curious, does he even play Ezreal?
I don't think we've seen an Ezreal
Never.
game from Mixed Cross yet.
That's the thing.
But let's go ahead and jump on into draft. Machi on your blue side. Leo and Mountain leading the charge on the coaching roles. Nova has Warlock at the helm. And already we see ourselves the Callista getting banned out. It's a respect ban to Rocky as well as a Renekton. So 2 of his primary pickups being taken away here by Machi.
I thought I'm seeing a smile from G4 at first once they saw the bans being rolled out. Just particularly for Rocky, and that's going to be a Rek'Sai ban targeted for Gemini. And with that said, it just means there's just so many things open for both of these teams.
Okay, so question is...
Senna,
Aphelios hasn't been banned out.
Oh,
Ornn hasn't been banned out. Elise is still available. These are all just target bans coming out from both of these sides. Now for Nova, what they want to do, they leave open the Aphelios after taking away the Misfortune, which has been a major, at least one of the carries that can keep up with him. But Machi, they don't go for it. They go for the set instead.
I am very surprised here. There's just so many things open. So Aphelios, this is pretty smart. So at least, you know, Senna, Aphelios in just putting the ball towards Nova's court. Now it just leaves what will Nova decide to pick as Mixed Cross's AD carry, as we've never seen Mixed Cross on either champions.
Okay, so they're going to go ahead and pick the Senna. They're going to go for likely the fasting Senna. If that's the case, then we likely see a Kench also get locked in for an immense amount of safety for Mixed Cross. So this is the bodyguard combo. He's going to go ahead and farm up. Meanwhile, that's going to let the Senna scale up. But that does mean if Bruce wants it, he can play the Aphelios.
That's true. They're giving a lot with each other. Aphelios is going to get locked in for sure. Like, I've never seen a game where Aphelios is open. They're just going to leave that out to dry.
I don't think we've seen all these power picks open ever.
In the same game.
Like, there's a set lock in, there's a Senna, there's an Aphelios. All we're missing is the Ornn.
Yeah, these are not the usual bans at all.
No, usually the the picks are the bans.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how crazy this draft has already been. Now for Machi, what do they want to try and lock in? You can just easily respond. Get the Blitzcrank there for Koala. He's had that in his back pocket a couple times this split. It's going to get locked in.
All right, so now this is like, what are the junglers going to pick for Nova and Machi? Because Nova Esports has acquired success in a Sejuani pick, and there you go. They're going to hover over that. And I think this is going to be perfect for them. For Machi Esports, they still do have the option of, you know, a Jarvan pick. Elise is actually still out there. As for Gemini, has he played Elise before? He has played it 2 times already.
You already see the Trundle ban coming out from Nova, so that might be the aim that they're looking at. But now you got to think, all right, currently, Rocky has still not had his champion get locked in. So there could be even more bans thrown his way to try and limit his champion pool. Instead, though, it looks like Machi are going to target a little bit more toward G4. The LeBlanc ban, I understand. I would like to maybe see a consistent damage dealer, maybe get rid of the Azir possibly. But no, they're just going to go ahead and get rid of the Aatrox instead as the Olaf Trundle is taken away by Nova.
That is 3 bans for Rocky in this game.
Has that Aurelia, though.
Okay. All right. Aurelia. I wonder if it's going to be for G4 or if it's going to be for Rocky. I think they're just still trying to test the waters on this draft, whether or not they're going to give it to mid lane or top. For Machi Esports, there you go, as Elise has been open. Gemini is, if they do lock this in, it's going to be his 3rd time on the Elise. This enables early game dives. I'm worried for Rocky, but we're still not sure what he's going to pick in the top side of the map, not just yet.
Again, that Aurelia could get flexed toward the mid lane. This is a great takeaway, though, for Machi. Taking that away from G4, Azir has been kind of his go-to consistent damage dealer. And you currently look at the side of Nova, it's mainly Burst you're looking at right now. Rocky can get a bit of consistent damage once he gets the Blade Surge going, but they are just going all for the Wombo combo here if they lock in the Orianna.
There's just a lot of dive coming from Nova Esports. And yeah, you're right. Wombo combos, even really nice team fights, and they have some sort of backup plan for scaling as well with the Aurelia, and especially the Senna is unlimited scaling in the form of souls. Meanwhile, Machi Esports, I'm afraid of you know, Gemini will probably keep visiting Rocky. This could be another deja vu from what we've seen in the previous match. Oh dear.
I'm scared for this bot lane, though. If you're picking the Blitzcrank into Mixed Cross, which has had historically some awkward positioning when it comes to the lane phase, so that might be... I don't even know. I don't even expect this to at least maybe up on the top side of the map. I expect them trying to get Bruce out of control and trying to shut down the Senna right away.
I agree, because again, if you're going to pull in the... I mean, that's the reason why you get a Tahm Kench for that safety, but you get a Blitzcrank, then you sort of separate Senna away from the Tahm Kench for the Devour, so it just works well for Machi Esports.
Well, a bit of a unique draft here. We're seeing a lot of champions that haven't seen a lot of play on the Rift now get to make their full debut against each other. We'll see how this one pans out as Nova are looking to continue their surge here in Week 4 and climb up the standings. Machi, though, look to shut them down and try and gain control of that second place spot.
All right, will Ryan do the same thing as he did against Kongye, I suppose, yesterday? We'll have to see. Again, Nova must feel really good. Oh, this is sneaky.
This is the time. So I like this from Machi. They saw that Ryan was rather aggressive. Let's try and get vision on him and try and track him in the jungle. Koala, does he want to go for the grab? See, without vision on Machi here, Nova are always a little scared. G4 might be the target here. But Koala's not going to pull the trigger on his rocket grab.
It's just a pool patrol. Gonna attempt, but looks like no attempts will be made, as Nova Esports were quite a little bit prepared for that as they walk away and try another day for Machi Esports.
Yeah, no real vision coming out from Machi on that invade, though, so they're not going to be able to track Ryan immediately. They'll have an idea, likely maybe on the top side of the map, but we'll see if he goes for a unique path, kind of like what we saw from Enzo in the previous game before this, where went for a little bit of an odd jungle path. I'm interested here, though. Does Nova just try and play around Rocky again? Do they try and get Rocky super far ahead into this matchup, or are we going to see Ryan maybe hug toward the bot side of the map if they're a little bit afraid of this Aphelios?
Yeah, I'm glad that you pointed that out, because there are going to be a lot of threats in the upcoming, as the game progresses, especially Mixed Cross, and we've seen G4 with the killer shockwaves before. And therefore, you know, it's more of try to keep Rocky safe game, because with Machi Esports on, with Gemini on the Elise pick, I'm expecting a few dives here and there. But perhaps Ryan would probably try to match this up, because they're actually opting for the same direction towards that portion of the map, and a counter gank could be a possibility for Ryan, rather.
Possibly here. Gemini in the last bit of the mission. That was a full combo coming out actually from G4. I think it was just the auto attacks. Orianna auto attacks early on in the lane can be a bit hurtful. Azir soldiers, though, can equally do the same. As we see Gemini here maybe positioning for a gank on G4, or just going for the invade on Ryan.
Possibly the invade? Oh,
is he going to try and take away Krugs? Let's see. Ryan and Gemini are going to come around the corner and meet each other. Hello, that's going to be the knock-up. Ryan is able to get the stun down here, but Gemini able to repel back over to safety. Cocoon comes out, but Ryan's still a tanky Sejuani, so not a whole lot you can do there, as Mission and G4 were also positioning to go for the possible roam, as G4 again getting poked out.
Yeah, this is quite the expected outcome for the Azir. Gemini is still not over, lingering around this area.
Ryan's nearby as Gemini does see him. But Rocky now is the one that might be dove if they're not careful. Level 4 is hit for PK. Gemini is going to start positioning. Ryan's coming up the lane to try and answer this as Rocky goes ahead, gets the stun, gets some decent damage there onto Gemini. He was already tanking tower shots now, and now Gemini comes on down. That's going to be a flash away, but first blood onto Rocky on the Irelia as he continues the charge here onto PK. Haymaker is getting charged up. Rocky decides not to go for the play, but he's going to have a free blue buff and red buff for his lane phase.
That is just going to be a nightmare lane for the next few seconds for PK. At least he held on to his flash, so that's going to be available for possibly the next aggressive move from Rocky, now that he has double buff and even that first blood kill for him on Rocky. That is not what Gemini wanted to happen for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, you saw Gemini ended up taking tower aggro just as he got stunned, so he ended up eating a tower shot. And for Rocky, he's going to be pretty happy. We've seen what happens when Rocky gets ahead. It's whether or not this Irelia can make impacts on the other side of the map. But immediately, Machi say, all right, if top's the lost cause, let's just try and make something happen bot.
That is the plan in mind. Root will connect towards the blue buff. Oh, that's 3 more members here. Let's see if there's going to be a steal. Pop.
He's just taking up damage.
Oh.
He's also going to get hooked. Pop is, he's going to have to get himself to safety here, but that might be a kill going on over. Gemini going to go for the full engage, but guess what? Pop is so tanky, and Gemini gets caught out once again. Ryan now with the kill.
That bait just worked so well. Machi Esports is just dying to get a kill after that loss at topside, and that's probably the reason why they were so antsy.
Now you can see Ryan there. He's a little antsy himself. He's got the head bob going. And that's another unforced error coming out from Machi that's going to end up costing them a lot in this early game.
I mean, I understand the aggression, especially that you saw Pop eating a lot of tower hits, or rather, a lot of hits already. He's just so low at this point. So it was the understandable play. Even Ryan was quite busy still with the blue buff take. The heal coming from Mixed Cross. Even the root rooting a random spider just dropped on 3 members, and therefore, ba-boom.
Mixed Cross had actually 3 Qs during out that fight to actually heal up Pop. It's kind of the reverse. Pop is used to being the one providing the heals to his AD carry. Now it's Mixed Cross helping him out. He's saying, you know what? You can have the bad positioning. I'll heal you. But like that, you now have 2 crucial points for Nova. The top lane is ahead. The bot lane is semi-ahead.
Yeah.
Like, you got the assist goal. This is a great start for Nova.
Indeed, and that is exactly, you know, I wonder if it's going to pile on, because after those 2 failed attempts on making something happen on the map by Gemini, you wonder, okay, going towards not the dragon. Okay.
Hook again onto Pop here. He's got to be careful. Ends up popping it immediately, but his Koala is the one that's going to get rooted down. Bruce getting the chakrams, though, out and getting a decent amount of damage, but Mixed Cross able to bring his team to safety under the veil.
Okay. At this point, we see Gemini and Ryan matching each other's pathing. So whenever somebody does an attempt over a gank, someone is ready for a counter gank, either Gemini or Ryan. But so far, it's Ryan winning the trades over the paths for the jungle so far.
Yeah, Gemini actually losing out on now 2 deaths. He's starting to fall like a little bit behind. He's still close in the CS, but as far as gold, you're going to get a tankier Sejuani earlier on in the game. The 1 point that's going in favor so far of Machi, though, has been this mid lane. We've seen Mission actually force G4 out of lane now, I think, twice. So that's why, you know, G4, he has a grab bag when it comes to items in his inventory. Nothing really concrete yet.
Yeah, at this point. And at the moment, for sure, in the upcoming fights, will be more of G4 trying to disrupt with a shockwave, not necessarily burst just yet, and perhaps be, you know, that shield bot whenever Rocky decides to try and go in. Meanwhile, first dragon has spawned, but Nova Esports going towards. Hold up.
Koala, he's just going to go ahead and get rid of the ward coverage there. So, you know, Nova got to be a little bit safe. We already saw 1 hook land, but with all this pressure on the bot side, at least here for Gemini remaining, they are able to start up the dragon, and there'll be the Ocean Drake likely going now in favor of Machi.
Yep, after that, with Ryan, spotting out, it's going to be a trade here of objectives. And now, Ryan could potentially send that top side to pour in more gold for Rocky and replicate what they've done before, as they've won that match against AHQ. PK spots this out, but no one's going to be there to contest that one.
Yeah, he sees Rocky come over on that ward, so there you go. It's the first Drake for the first Herald going over to Nova. We'll see whether or not they're able to, like you mentioned, get some more gold onto Rocky, or maybe try and equal out a little bit of the difference there in the mid lane. We'll have to see where Ryan wishes to apply pressure now for the next couple of minutes.
Yep, we'll have to see, as, yeah, Mission has been really that annoying for G4. Meanwhile, Hook will not land. Just a little bit of present for Bruce, I suppose. But now since, you know, Mission has priority, he can definitely try and attempt a dive for either mix crossing the bottom side of the map.
I see here, Bruce is starting to get a little bit of a CS lead. You got to combine the CS when it comes to mixed cross and pop. As the other thing too is mixed cross is really relying on those souls. It's always great when you can get 2 of them. Each one of those souls it's like getting a little bit of a extra little bonus. It's about 45 gold as Grump goes for a drive or a little bit of a hook on over. Koala might be caught out here. There we go. Engage coming out from the Glacial Prison. Koala still has his ultimate available. Senna ult is also going to come online, but that kill goes on over to Pop. You would have liked to see it on Mixed Cross, but again, Ryan able to catch out a member of Machi.
That is unexpected. Again, it's one of those things where wherever Gemini attempts a gank, Ryan is right there. So both of these junglers are matching each other's rotation in the map, except that Ryan already has poured resources, or rather gold, on towards, you know, the bot lane and the top side of the map, and therefore Gemini is at the losing end of the stick whenever these fights happen.
Oh, and you know, they mirror each other without really knowing it, because there's absolutely no vision really on the map here for Ryan. He's just doing his jungle, and then you got Koalas trying to, you know, get a little bit of ward coverage down, try and get more onto that bot side of the map, but it ends up costing them, and that's now almost a 1,500 gold lead here for Nova at the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, and it's also, I suppose, just very difficult as well for Gemini, as we can see Rocky moving towards diving in, actually, just probably spotting out Gemini, so they do have information that they are indeed matching each other's rotation in the map. But G4, still a little bit slow and steady here.
Yeah, that's the goal here for G4. He had a couple of awkward back timings, so he hasn't been able to really complete an item, but I think at 94 he should be able to actually go on back to base, and I think he'll likely go into a lost chapter. Get a little bit extra mana and a little bit extra damage as he works toward his first item.
This is perfect. They are still mirroring each other due to the spawn timers and how they started in the first place. Now that we see Ryan lingering around here.
Ryan's dancing. He's been dancing like a fool. He doesn't. I don't think he knows that Kwa's nearby. I haven't seen any pings that indicate it.
Yeah, because the timing was perfect for Machi Esports. Oh, that's a nice
that's
hug.
a good call, but guess what? Ryan always coming into a trap here as he's going to get hooked on back by Koala. Still pretty tanky. Has to flash over, so that's going to be the flash not available for the Sejuani as Machi are able to force out a summoner. Nicely
done by Machi Esports. That will really help them later on once they attempt these ganks coming from Gemini. And yeah, they Ryan... Nova Esports weren't really aware as the back, that was, I think, the second back of Mission.
Yeah, you can see on the mini-map overall, it's been a bunch of ward coverage in that river. Nova, they've been pretty blind past their lanes, so unfortunately for them, they do get punished. They don't lose Ryan, though, so that's a nice little caveat they'll have as he goes ahead and clears out his red buff, and he's going to go ahead, he has to use the Rift Herald, actually, as we'll see, I believe, the next one spawning here shortly.
Yep, wouldn't want it to go to waste, as now we might see an attempted dive coming from Ryan here.
Especially with the teleport being used, and if Gemini shows, you can almost guarantee that Ryan is going to go ahead and go up toward the top lane. You see G4 ends up waiting to use his flash, but he gets taken down as Gemini is able to find the first kill for Machi. Meanwhile, though, top side, Shelly goes ramming. Rocky's going to get a bunch of turret gold as he gets first brick for Nova.
That is the plan in mind. Actually, Bork for Rocky here on as the first item on Irelia. I think we had a few changes for 10.5 on the Bork.
But still, I feel like for G4 here, if Mission is just going at you with a Shurima shuffle like that, I think that tells you somebody's nearby, and maybe he could have flashed a little bit earlier.
That's true. And unfortunately, it is going to be too late. G4 has no flash, so therefore Machi Esports can probably try to take advantage of this even more, that teeny tiny window, with G4 only having one more defensive spell unused. But ward coverage for Machi Esports is actually balanced for now. A little bit of wards over there, deep vision near the wolf camp and at the riverside with the scuttle and everything. Bot lane is actually so protected, therefore enabling a safe lane for Bruce and Koala.
Yeah, Bruce on the Aphelios. You haven't seen him get a kill yet, but he's starting to get a little scary as he continues to farm madly, as he's at 130 already. So he's going to be getting his first item here shortly. Mission also finished off his Nashers too, so there is spike differences between the two teams, like we mentioned earlier. A Bork already for Rocky, so he has a little bit of advantage up in that top lane for the next, minute or two, as we have yet to see Gemini really answer here. But we've seen this before, where Rocky's able to get ahead. When will they transition this gold advantage into other lanes to try and get other players rolling?
Yeah, now that the lane is open, he has a little bit of freedom to roam around, especially perhaps in the mid lane. But now I think the display of strength could potentially start around this Rift Herald take. It could be. This is sneaky.
Like, we see a ward.
Someone's there.
Go there. Someone's nearby. As Gemini is going to pop up. Does Nova try and respond? No, it looks like the immediate call is just to go onto this Rift Herald and see whether or not Gemini is actually going to roam up and try and answer it. Mixcross and Pop have actually already moved their way toward the top side of the map, so this is an easy take here for Nova as they're going to get their second Rift Herald of the game.
Yes, sirree, and meanwhile, I think that's going to be for mid lane to open that up a little bit more, unless they want to equalize bot lane.
Whole mission getting caught out here. Has to be a bit careful, though, as the rest of Machi is coming nearby. Koala looking for a hook, able to find it there onto Ryan. He gets pushed back immediately by the Emperor's Divide. Meanwhile, Senna Ultimate going to come on through, gets a little bit of damage. G4 able to get the ball on top. Koala goes low, but here comes PK. Shockwave is able to land, but it's a little bit too late, as now the double root coming out and the double face breaker from PK on this set, and Bruce able to take down G4.
That was a massive fight from Machi Esports, and they've been rewarded. They were patient, they were waiting around that brush. Not only did they get 2 kills, but they also get this tower in the mid lane.
And though PK was shut down a little bit early on in the game, he finally answers here with a big ultimate in his favor.
Exactly, nicely done. And Rocky was not around because he was busy at the bottom side of the map trying to protect that tower. And because of the initial damage of towards Ryan, he's the first one to follow the battle. Aphelios ult feels he's forced out, but that's basically a lot of people piling in, even getting that snipe towards D4.
So Machi are able to answer back here, as the early game though didn't go exactly in their favor. They get a good team fight, a good pick there, and it's going to shut down a bit of Nova's momentum when it comes to this game. Is Rocky. He's got to be a bit careful here. Flawless Duet is not actually going to connect there onto the Blitzcrank, but unfortunately it's kind of looking like we're seeing symptoms of what we've seen before with Nova. They're able to get a side lane ahead, but that's pretty much it. It starts to crumble a bit when it comes to their calls into the early to mid game.
It's more of where can they find these fights so that Rocky would be involved and so that he can influence.
Oh, look at this. PK, big flank, able to get in behind Nova. Teleport going to come out from Rocky, trying to answer it. Glacial Prison, he's able to zone out a little bit of the team fight, but that will be the end here as Rocky appears from the minion wave, as no one goes down on either side.
Yeah, great bait coming from Machi Esports, baited out the teleport coming from Rocky, and I think they'll take that, as I think it was only a flash being used coming from PK at that time, so not a lot burnt on the side of Machi Esports, and they'll be satisfied with that. Also taking that tower, as I think Rocky was trying to defend that portion of the map. Yeah, congratulations for that victory on that mini fight that they established. The hook did not connect.
Nova, they're going to go ahead, go underneath the veil as G4 goes up forward. Gets a decent chunk of damage there on Gemini. Going to continue on here. Nova going to continue to just chase him on down. Rocky goes forward and is able to find the kill with the Flawless Duet. And it's good timing here, as that's going to be the Infernal Drake available for Nova, and they can actually punish Machi.
I love that aggression. It's more of like, okay, even though we don't have vision at all at that portion of the map, let's just kill the jungler after there's just no option for escape at all, as the chasing potential coming from Nova Esports is just there. You have, you know, the Senna Mist, you have the movement speed coming from G4, and Abyssal Voyage even for pickoffs, like potential flanks later on.
Yeah, we saw there the hooked in land from Koala, but it's just aggression here and the GLP coming out from G4.
Yeah, and right now because of G4's completed item and of course Gemini being such a squishy jungler on the Elise, it is this is the expected result when you just funnel in everything coming from the Orianna. So that is the victory that Nova will take, transitioning to a dragon pick, and now Rift Herald will be unleashed as well towards the mid lane.
Starting to run out on the timer, so it's going to be Infernal back at 4 minutes. We're going to have Baron also just spawning as we hit 20. A little bit of a concern for me here is I have not seen a whole lot of board coverage come out from Nova. PK was able to actually get that flank off with like only using the flash, and considering where he was completely behind Nova at a second tier tower. So Nova's ward coverage has started to suffer as Machi have been pushing it in ever since they've been able to get the tempo back toward their favor.
Yeah, that's true. The vision coming from Nova Esports is one of the things that Nova could work on, especially that considering PK has been one of those threats for your backline for numerous games in the PCS, and he keeps doing that as it has been working to punish teams that don't have a lot of ward coverage in their own jungle. But now, since he didn't have much of a nightmare in the top side of the map, like we saw Rocky only getting 2 kills out of that, and after Koala,
looking for the hook. He's fishing. He doesn't get it though.
Yeah. And Baron's now online, and therefore Nova Esports is just going to be defending these waves, as there's just still 2 outer turrets left for Machi Esports.
Still see here though, Machi, they want to claim full control on the bot side of the map. Maybe look to start stacking toward the Dragon Soul. Koala, maybe caught out here toward the side, is going to flash on back with the hook. Gets Ryan a little bit closer into the fight. Glacial Prison ends up landing. G4 completely whiffs, though, on the Shockwave. And that might be the nail in the coffin here, as they have to back off with no CC left in the back pocket. G4 is going to get claimed, and Bruce gets himself a kill. And that is a massive misplay coming out from G4 with them completely whiffed Shockwave.
That was Nova Esports wanting to start that fight, as they were focusing all of their resources on Koala at the time. Unfortunately, it did not work well for them. Rocky was not able to get the position that he wanted. Ryan was already pretty low, and just as you mentioned, G4 with the unfortunate Shockwave. Whew.
It ends up costing Nova a Baron. And you felt like Nova, they had the upper hand here, but it was just that small misplay coming out from G4.
I want to see that again. Gemini actually got rooted here at that time. But you saw PK smashing down G4's HP to practically half health. And therefore, Nova Esports decides to call it a day. There's a root coming from Aphelios, and Machi finding the fights that they like.
And again, that's another PK flank off one of the side brushes in the jungle of Nova, because Machi set that up a minute before. They cleared out all the vision, and we mentioned it earlier. We don't see any vision coming out from Nova on the side flanks, and it's really starting to cost them, as now Machi find themselves 3,000 gold ahead.
And it's not even a teleport play, it was more of just walking and positioning towards the side brush, and therefore that means there's just a lot of room for PK to just roam around, and he's not getting punished at all, so there's no collapse because of the lack of vision. And now Nova Esports has to suffer. They have to defend for, you know, the next more or less 2 minutes for this Baron till it expires.
Well, see, now Bruce is starting to position. This Aphelios has hit his power spikes. Got himself the Essence Reaver and the Infinity Edge. Mission maybe caught out toward the side here, but even with the Glacial Prison, it's not enough to kill him. And the top and the tower down in bot lane goes down here, as Machi are now pressuring in for the inhibitor.
Wonder if they're going to go all in. No Glacial Prison anymore. Shockwave has been used, so the tools, the teamfight tools that Nova wanted to use earlier is not going to be there, and therefore they have to give this inhibitor tower in the bot lane. Inhibitor in the bot lane.
They concede the tower and inhibitor, Do they do the same here in mid lane as they get themselves a nice wave also on the side of Machi? And you can see those hooks are fishing, but the tower is already going to get taken down here. PK going down low. Senna ultimate comes through. Not enough damage. Here comes Ryan toward the side. Able to find it with a quick whip. And now Mission gets caught out too by the root. It's a shutdown on over to Mixcross. And Nova, they're able to find 2 kills, but they do lose out in the very end. An inhibitor and 2 inhibitor towers.
All right, so they finally found, the perfect timing to initiate the fight. Problem is, they've already lost.
Oh, hook.
That was close. That was very close. Okay, Nova Esports, you get a dragon. You have waves shoving towards you. Let's check that out again. PK was chunked into a huge, huge amount. But you saw G4 just basically exploded from Bruce's damage there. And meanwhile, everyone else from Machi Esports are just practically low, and therefore it's clean up for Nova. An exchange of the life of G4 and as well as the tower.
So G4 getting caught out, but I think crucially here for Nova, they've been able to actually now get 2 dragons away from Machi. They're getting themselves set up for a possible stall game where, like we mentioned in Champ Select, Mixcross, in theory, scales endlessly. The longer this game goes, the more the Senna is going to do, and when paired with a Kench, that's a lot of safety, and it's going to take a lot of a massive mistake from Mixcross to get caught out during these fights.
Agreed. And once you go towards these team fights, especially prolonged team fights, when certain champions become more tankier, the heal coming from Mixcross is just going to negate the damage coming from Machi Esports eventually, and therefore it may be a little bit difficult. At least you see for Mission, he already has Leandries in his inventory, so it's going to be one of those things that will counter that in certain situations against Nova Esports.
Oh, Ryan here, he's trying to defend this tower, but again, absolutely no vision for Nova means that PK, he doesn't even need to use his ultimate because Koala brings him on back. Ryan ends up popping. He's got the gargoyles at least, but still, with no vision available for Nova, he gets punished immediately, and now they're going to go ahead and pressure in now to the last inhibitor tower remaining of the base of Nova.
30 seconds for Ryan. They have really nice wave clear for Nova Esports on the form of Oriana, and they can pressure the ball as well to zone out Machi so that they're afraid to move a little bit forward, as they may be in danger of a potential shockwave here. Let's take a look at that again. No vision, yes, and this was the perfect opportunity if they had vision for a potential collapse under the tower for Nova Esports, as Ryan just survived long enough for sure if they had vision. But there you go, Nova Esports on the defense once more.
So the lack of vision has now hit Nova pretty much 3 fights back to back, unfortunately. And still, I'm not seeing a whole lot of ward coverage when it comes to the center of the map. It's all toward the top side, but that allows for easy flanks for PK if he wants to come down toward the dragon side of the map. We're going to have Infernal back in 2.5 minutes. We'll see whether or not Nova can try and contest that once again. Their inhibitor will be back up in bot lane. And that is a small little point here for Nova. As Machi keeps giving over these dragons, Nova have been able to actually claim themselves 2 Infernal. You might be looking at a 3rd one to just add on to the extra little bit of raw stats and make up for the gold difference they're missing out on.
I agree. And as the game progresses as well, Nova G4 is going to be up.
Koala, not able to find it. Ryan wants to go back for an engage. That's going to be immediately. And another shockwave coming out from G4 that hits nothing but air. Ryan gets caught out by the ultimate. Emperor's Divide, though, able to pin back G4 in the middle of the team fight. And Bruce is on a rampage. You got Ryan trying to answer back, but Mission is going to get taken down. It's still a double kill, though, for this Aphelios. And Bruce is near unstoppable.
Rocky was not around in that fight at all. He was busy split pushing the map, and now he's forced to go back to base, as this could be the final stand of Nova Esports.
We'll see here as Nova try and hold on. Machi with 4 members. Rocky has rejoined in on the fight. 4v3. Minion's going to start crashing it onto the base. Pop gets locked down low. And
wow.
There it is. The Vanguard's edge from Rocky. Able to find the shutdown onto Bruce. PK is caught out. Koala's going to get taken on down. Machi get a little too far forward in the base as they're able to hold on the side of Nova.
Yo, that was what I was looking forward to. Rocky with the play here, as this all started near the red buff of Nova Esports. A flash for flash, and the shockwave unfortunately did not hit. It hit just that grass over there, and PK once more stopping the retreat of Nova Esports. Nicely done, Emperor's Divide, just to feed G4 in the Piranha Pit. Machi.
Yeah, meanwhile though, you take a look at your live feed, that's going to be Baron Sword up here from Nova after they claim themselves 3 kills. They're actually able to get the reset, get Baron buff, and they have enough time here. They are going to try and go back, but that does mean Machi should be able to get this Infernal.
That's true, and at least because of, you know, the previous, the past few minutes of denying a lot of the dragons away from Machi Esports, they can afford to give this away as it is just Machi Esports' 3rd dragon. In the meantime, they have Baron now. I want to see this again. This is very flashy. Rocky hitting 3-man ult for himself, and basically just a ton of damage at this point of the game for sure. And Mixcross with the additional heal. This is a last-minute route from Mixcross. I think he was so close to dying with a flash. And it's set up for a nicely done kill for Rocky as well.
And he got a massive shutdown. You saw there, 1,000 gold went on over to Mixcross with the 300. That's pretty much a BF sword just off 2 kills. So Mixcross is going to be happy getting that back in his pocket. And actually, Nova have been able to find themselves the gold lead. They're just on the back foot right now because they've given up so much of their turrets and their structures earlier on in the game.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that they do have G4 and actually Mixcross as well for, you know, really nice wave clear whenever Machi Esports decides to siege. And now that because they also have the Baron buff, it removes something away from Machi Esports to use in pushing Nova Esports into their base. So a lot of things that Nova Esports denied away from Machi at this point of the game, which really slows them out in trying to close this one.
Well, Rocky goes back into the side lane. Just goes for the Flame Horizon now. I would like to see Rocky, though, use this teleport at some point. He's had this teleport in his back pocket for about the last, 7 minutes. He's been side pushing with the lane, but unfortunately, he's always not really answering any of the fights that Machi take, and we mentioned how Rocky himself has a lot of that gold advantage there of Nova in his back pocket on these items. You're now, what, hitting your 3 items? You got your Stair Axe, you got yourself the GA just coming in online. This is Rocky's go time. I like to see him actually come in and help out on these fights, because that's kind of been the issue that Nova has been starting to face, is they're always outmanned.
They're always outmanned, and you did mention that the lack of vision really sort of denies any sort of a teleport flank. Rocky could potentially enter the fight, and once Nova isn't, what do you call this, once Machi Esports starts something or starts a fight at that point, I think it's too late for Rocky to teleport in. And now, because the waves are set for Nova Esports, they're comfy with this sort of setup in the mid lane.
And they'll be able to finally take this mid lane tower that's been up for the last half an hour. Does get interrupted though by Machi. Unfortunately, there's some decent wave clear on the side of that Azir, as well as Bruce on the Aphelios.
I was afraid of PK that I thought he was trying to circle around the jungle of Nova so that he could do a flank.
Hey, they got the vision.
They got the vision, yeah. They got the vision now. There is a ward there that PK can teleport to. There's 2 wards. He can choose either blue buff area or red buff area for this flank.
Top lane, though, is getting pushed in, so someone from Nova is going to have to respond. Or they're going to try and go for a play here. You end up losing this fight, you might lose the game, is the issue here. As Nova, you got Rocky. He's going to go ahead and answer back. That's still Nova now with 4 members. Koala Does he
They're
send something?
Missing pins.
Oh, here we go. That's an instant engage, and Koala's going to get caught out with the root. The set ultimate is there, and they finally find themselves a kill. Glacial Prison directly onto Bruce, but it isn't followed up by the shockwave. There's the target. Bruce is forced back out of the fight, but he's able to land his ultimate to try and disengage on Nova.
Nova Esports will take that as a victory as they've eliminated Koala and scared off MCX a little bit. PK does still have teleport as he has been around the area. Rocky, on the other hand, will not have teleport in the next few minutes. And this has been a patient game and very risky at that as well.
You saw Koala face check in there. The one mistake from Nova here is I'm shocked that we didn't see a shockwave immediately back onto Bruce. They might have been able to get a kill. Instead, G4 brought it back for the shield. And by then, Rocky's in the fight, but it's already been disengaged.
That's true. And at that point, I guess they were more worried of losing someone as the build has been the wave has been building up a top side. Therefore, I didn't want anyone to die. But meanwhile, 20 seconds on the clock, more or less, for the next dragon. This is going to be very precious for Nova. They want to deny that fourth one.
Want to deny the soul. Pop, though, aggressive. Let's see, they get the root there onto PK. Haymaker doesn't land on anyone. You still see Shockwave available for G4. Bruce is able to trade back a decent amount of damage, though. And that forces Nova to have to back off here. Chakrams, they're actually getting some more damage from across the screen there from the side of Bruce. Rocky is still here, has GA available. Koala wants to go for the engage, but instead Ryan going for the big flank there, and they're able to find their target onto Gemini. Is that the key member you're looking for? Shockwave only finds PK as the rappel came on down. Meanwhile, Mission trying to kite back 3 members into the Emperor's Divide, and it shuts down Pop immediately. There comes the showstopper from PK. He's on top of Rocky. Rocky uses the Vanguard's edge, but unfortunately, it's a little bit too late as Machi stands strong with 5 members still standing after they take down 4 of Nova.
What an amazing setup by Mission. A 3-man Shurima Emperor's Divide. And at this point, long death timers, it's the game for MCX.
And for Machi, you don't need the soul, it seems. You only need a bad take from Nova. Ryan tried his best to get the flank there, but it was all expended onto the Elise. They take down the Sejuani. Nova made their last stand, but Machi crumbled them as they advanced 9-3 in the standings.
36-minute game. I was looking a little bit worried for Machi Esports as they've been losing a few members here and there as the game progressed. But Machi Esports very patient, and with that play coming from Mission, that was a smashing way to finish.
No, Mission had some great. That is 0 on the last fight. That
yeah.
was perfect. He was zoning like 3 members, and he was actually getting damage with the Q and the soldier auto attacks, and then goes for that big Emperor's Divide. For Nova, early game, it still looked okay.
Yeah.
It still looked okay. They were able to get Rocky ahead, but it was one of those situations where, cool, Rocky's ahead. What else is happening on the map, though?
I was expecting once, you know, Rocky got 2 items already. I think the Sterax and as well as the Bork. I thought he would be a little bit more aggressive, but we didn't really find it. And I feel like it falls back to the vision control once more, on where if you don't have information on where to attack and when they're going to attack, then we can't really prep Rocky for the fight that he needs.
Yeah, and this was the last fight here. Ryan goes for the big flank on the Sejuani, but it's Gemini that he hits.
Yeah, there's just so much invested for Gemini. And because of that rappel on towards the Shockwave, a key ultimate for an potential outplay, especially for Bruce, was not available at that time. And Gemini even had that flash all this time as well. Mission, whew, that was a pretty Emperor's Divide. And it just ensued chaos on towards Nova Esports.
And again, Rocky goes for that Vanguard's edge, but at that point, you have 3 members down on your team. There's not a whole lot left they can do, and it's an easy cleanup there from Machi as they're able to take home the victory here over Nova.
Look at those damage bars as Bruce and Mission did really well, especially at the end, at the laser stages of the game. And therefore, you know, we saw the Aurelia, so we thought the backline would have had a threat. But Rocky, most of the time, despite having a really nice lead during the early phases of the game, we didn't really see him, again, transition that. And you mentioned how it's been a trend for some of Nova Esports' games.
Yeah, you even see there, like the gold graph, there was a little bit of a trend starting to form for Nova. A big plateau there for Machi, and Nova, they swung it back after that, bad take coming out from Machi. And, for Machi being at the top of the standings, you have to wonder, is this Nova playing better than they usually do, or is this Machi playing a little bit worse? Because there were some gutsy plays, like trying to end the game in a 4v3, like, at only about, it was like 25 minutes there? It was a bit risky to have them trying to end a game off that.
Yeah, and it's quite understandable because it was just, I think, Senna, it was Mixed Cross, and as well as Pop that's left, and then Rocky just followed through. I think they were a little bit excited, but at the same time, Machi still is pretty scary. It is still a pretty scary team.
Yeah, and locked and loaded, it's going to be Bruce taking home the MVP. Gets himself a nice 12 KDA overall, only dying once there on the Aphelios, and almost 32% of the damage.
That is just insane coming from, and right now, Aphelios is sitting at 100% win rate in the PCS.
Oh yeah, every team that's had Aphelios has had the victory there. And Bruce's job wasn't necessarily all that hard. You saw there, he was rarely occupied with any CC that was thrown by Nova. Usually the front line was just soaking up all that damage and all that CC that was coming out, that Bruce honestly just kind of sat on the back line. Once he had Runan's Hurricane, he was just like, yeah, I'm doing damage to everyone. That's an easy game.
Yeah, there was not a lot of threat for Bruce, and I feel like most of the resources like the Glacial Prison and the Shockwave, I mean, early game, that's totally fine. Once you want to get like maybe the Blitzcrank or the Jungler, that's super important. But once towards these, the 30-minute team fights, that's where a crucial Glacial Prison, either on the Jungler, you have to have it either on Mission or on Bruce at that time.
Yeah. And there was also, I think there's still some communication, like, with Nova's team fights, there's opportunities for them to layer CC time and time again, but then they kind of, like, go, oh, I want to hit that guy, well, I'll go get this guy, and then they all kind of go all over the place, and they don't isolate the single target. And the one time they did, they pick an Elise.
They pick an Elise. That had Repel, that still had Flash, so still a lot of escape options for Machi Esports. But yeah, Machi, I was a little bit worried, but they pulled through in the end.
Yeah. For Nova fans, though, I think you got to be pretty happy with the performances you're starting to see from them, especially this week. They took down AHQ. That was a massive upset. They still have another game tomorrow. But after the short break, we're going to go ahead and take another look toward another Southeast Asia matchup. It's going to be Malaysia taking on the Philippines. Liav are going to make their very first game and appearance of Week 4, so stick around to tune in as we take ourselves a short break.
seconds while